The summer sun was intense, yet the expression on Leo's face was as cold as ice. Beneath that coldness, I could sense a deep-seated impatience that was becoming all too familiar. "I've told you this so many times, Maya," he said, his voice clipped. "Clara and I have known each other our whole lives. I just see her as a little sister, someone I look after. Can you please stop being so ridiculously jealous all the time? It's genuinely getting on my nerves." I didn't respond. I didn't cry or try to anxiously defend myself the way I used to. I just felt a profound weariness settle over me. Arguing about the same things over and over again felt completely pointless. Seeing me staring at the ground in silence, Leo's tone suddenly softened, a tactic he often used. "All right, look, I know you get jealous easily. I'll try my best to keep more distance from her in the future." The familiar sourness in my heart began to bubble up, and despite my best efforts, I felt my eyes start to turn red. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe there really was nothing between them, just as he had insisted countless times. If he truly had feelings for Clara Mitchell, why would he have pursued me in the first place? But then he added another condition. "However, you have to promise me one thing. Last time you got angry, your friends started calling Clara a homewrecker. Words like that can be really damaging to a girl's reputation. You should understand that." The loud chirping of the cicadas filled the air, but in my head, it felt like everything had gone silent as my heart sank. I looked up at Leo, at a face that was once the most familiar thing in the world to me, but now felt like a stranger's. "What do you want?" I asked quietly. "I want you to find a chance to help her clear up those rumors. She was crying to me about it yesterday. Her eyes were all swollen." A single word escaped my lips before I could stop it. "Impossible." Leo was visibly taken aback by my flat refusal, and his surprise quickly curdled into anger. "Say that again." "I said impossible," I repeated, clenching my fists in my lap to keep my voice from shaking. A cold, humorless laugh escaped him. "Fine." He pulled out his phone, and with a few practiced taps, he blocked my number and deleted my contact. "Maya," he said, his voice now devoid of any warmth, a stark contrast to the summer heat. "If you have any self-respect left, don't come crawling back to me." That evening, a friend sent me a screenshot of a post Leo had made on his social media. "The little girl from next door is all grown up," the caption read. It was accompanied by two pictures. The first was a faded childhood photo of him and Clara, maybe around 3 years old, holding hands and smiling so wide their eyes crinkled. The second was a recent photo of them. They weren't holding hands anymore, but they were gazing at each other with that same sparkling laughter in their eyes. Clara had commented below the post, "Am I still as cute as I was back then?" P. Leo's reply was quick. "Still as much of a greedy little piggy." My friend tried to reassure me. "See, he just thinks of her as a sister. This post is obviously just to clarify things so people don't get the wrong idea." I didn't reply, just managed a weak, self-deprecating smile. He wasn't clarifying things for my sake. He was doing it for Clara. He was making it clear that she wasn't the other woman in our relationship. Later that night, as I was drying my hair after a shower, I thought about the box of Polaroids we had taken together. I pulled the photo album from the bottom of my dresser drawer and went through everything, planning to find somewhere to get rid of it all the next day. Just as I was about to go to sleep, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number, containing only a single photo. It showed two hands, tightly clasped. I recognized Leo's hand immediately, which meant the other one had to be Clara's. Their fingers were interlaced, just like in their childhood picture. A line of text appeared below the image. "Hey sis, do you really think a chance encounter can beat a childhood bond?" I stared at the screen for a few moments, feeling nothing but a strange emptiness. I took a screenshot of the message, blocked the number, and turned off my phone. The next day, I found a local waste disposal service and had them shred everything: the photos, the letters, the small gifts Leo had given me. After it was all gone, I went online and officially changed my college application preferences. Only after everything was finalized did I open up my social media. My best friend had sent me the address for a post-exam gathering our classmates were having. We had been getting together almost every day, always at the same few spots. So it was almost inevitable that as soon as I walked in, I would run into Leo's friends. When they saw me, they started winking and nudging each other. Look who it is! Maya, you here to find Leo? What a coincidence. He just got here too. He's in the back room. Another one chimed in. See, I told you guys. Why wait the full 7 days? Maya couldn't even last one. Leo really has her wrapped around his finger. I felt a wave of irritation wash over me. I'm not here to see him. It wasn't the first time I'd heard them talk like this, but tonight it just made me feel disgusted. Oh, stop pretending, Maya. I didn't bother responding, just turned to leave. They seemed momentarily stunned. Is she actually leaving? She's just putting on a show. I bet you she'll be back tomorrow, begging to make up. I scoffed and glanced back at them over my shoulder. Fine. You can wait and see then. Leo glanced at the few guys who had just walked into the private room, then looked past them, his gaze sweeping the entrance. His eyes darkened slightly. He was sure he had heard them say Maya's name, but there was no sign of her. An unfamiliar irritation began to bubble up inside him. He thought her temper had become completely unreasonable lately, causing a scene over and over again about Clara. She never seemed to consider that he and Clara had known each other since they were practically babies. If he had actually been interested in Clara, where would that have even left Maya? As he was lost in thought, his phone vibrated. He quickly picked it up, a small smile playing on his lips as he swiped it open. It had to be her friend request, but when he opened the app, the message was from Clara. Leo, can you come pick me up? He felt a flash of annoyance. It's so close, can't you just walk over? She sent a photo in reply. In the picture, her calf was scraped and bleeding. The injury looked nasty. What caught Leo's attention, however, was the corner of the photo. He could just make out a sliver of a blue dress, one he recognized. He was sure Maya owned a dress just like it. He shot up from his seat and hurried out of the room. Leo, bro, it hurts so much, Clara cried out when she saw him running towards her, tears streaming down her face. What happened? He asked, immediately crouching down to look at her leg. Fortunately, it was just a superficial scrape and wouldn't need stitches. He let out a sigh of relief and said a few comforting words to calm her down. Once her sobs subsided, he turned his cold gaze on me. Did you do this? How many times do I have to tell you? Clara is my sister. Can't you handle even this? Leo, Clara said, gently tugging his arm. You're misunderstanding. It was my own fault. I was careless. It has nothing to do with Maya. She spoke with such caution, her eyes welling with tears, that anyone would assume she was lying to protect me out of fear. What are you afraid of her for? Leo said, helping Clara to her feet. She gasped in pain as he wrapped an arm around her waist. Hold on, I'll take you to the hospital. Then what about Maya? Clara asked, glancing at me. Leo's eyes met mine. Maya, apologize to Clara and we'll call it even. I let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. Call the police. Let them check the security cameras. No need, Leo said, his gaze turning frigid. I've known Clara for years and she's never lied to me, but you're different, Maya. You have a history. You're a pathological liar. He was talking about the third time we'd had a major fight. After that argument, he had also blocked and deleted me before leaving me stranded. Several of us were in a neighboring city for a math competition at the time. I didn't know the city and had no one to turn to. After Leo abandoned me, I tried to get a taxi back to our hotel, but was immediately surrounded by several aggressive, unlicensed cab drivers. I was terrified. A boy from another school, who was also there for the competition, saw what was happening and came to my rescue, escorting me safely back to the hotel. Leo had always been incredibly sensitive about me interacting with other guys. Even a short conversation was enough to make him moody for hours. So I never told him about that small incident. But on the day of the award ceremony, the boy, whose name was Ethan, came over to congratulate me. Leo's expression soured instantly, and I had no choice but to tell him the truth to explain the situation. He seemed to brush it off at the time, but ever since, whenever we argued, he would bring it up. You say I'm full of lies? A pathological liar? In the past, those words would have cut me to the core. I would have felt terribly wronged and would have done anything to explain myself and beg for his forgiveness. But now, hearing him say it, I just found it ridiculous. Was it that he truly didn't believe me? Or was it just his unwavering bias towards Clara? I didn't even have the energy to ask anymore. Do whatever you want, I said, turning to walk away. Maya! He called after me, but I didn't look back. I could hear Clara's quiet sobs starting up again. Leo, it hurts so much. It's bleeding again. I'll take you to the hospital. Okay, sorry to be a bother again. Can you walk? I don't think I can. Then I'll carry you on my back. Is that okay? Stop being silly. But it's a special situation. Leo, you're the best. I remember you used to carry me like this when we were kids, too. I really owe you. Their voices faded as they moved away until all that was left was the oppressive heat of the summer evening and the relentless drone of the cicadas. I slowed my pace, an unavoidable ache still spreading through my chest, like a wound slowly bleeding out. When you're young, emotions feel so heavy, and letting go was never going to be easy. But I knew one thing for sure. I wouldn't be crying over Leo anymore. My phone vibrated with a message from another new number. Big sister, a sudden crush can't compete with a childhood sweetheart. You've lost. From that day on, Leo and Clara were nearly always together. Clara posted on her social media every single day, documenting their time. My best friend even found an alternate account she had where she wrote about her feelings for him, a mix of secret crush and open admiration. The account was surprisingly popular, with thousands of people encouraging her to be brave and confess. Clara had pinned one of her own comments to the top. I'm going to confess in 3 days. Wait for my update. 3 days from then would mark exactly 1 week since Leo had blocked me. He had told me countless times that a week-long Cold War meant we were automatically broken up. For the entire year we dated, that one phrase had held me captive. I'm a stubborn person. When I like someone, I give them my everything. Leo was my first love, and he had helped me through a difficult time with my family. I had just come out of a low point in my senior year, and I cherished our relationship more than anything. That was why I had always been the one to back down, to compromise, to be the first to make up. But I had forgotten that when you constantly place yourself in such a low position, the other person naturally starts to see you as less and less important. I left the group chats I shared with Leo and our mutual friends and deleted the contact information for all his buddies. I started avoiding all the places I knew he might be. No one, except for my homeroom teacher and my best friend, knew that I had changed my college preference. The week passed by in a blur. On the final night, I went out for karaoke with my best friend. We intentionally chose a place on the far west side of the city, but somehow we still ran into Leo and his friends. It felt like they had been waiting for me. As soon as they spotted me, they walked over and surrounded me, blocking my path. Maya, one of them started. Leo actually got over his anger a long time ago. You know how he is, all tough on the outside. He's just been waiting for you to come back and apologize. If you keep acting like this and he really breaks up with you, you'll regret it. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Well, then let's just break up. Maya, you're still acting proud when you're about to lose him, another friend said, exasperated. I heard Clara is planning to confess to Leo, too. You don't want someone else to snatch him away, do you? So you all knew she was trying to do that? I asked, looking at them with a mocking smile. They exchanged uneasy glances before one of them spoke up again. Maya, seriously, Leo only likes you. Just go see him one more time. He's at that old place you two used to go on dates. He really misses you. He's just too stubborn and proud to admit it. He's still holding a grudge about that thing with, what was his name? Ethan. He was really jealous about that. I didn't say anything. The whole situation just felt absurdly comical. If this was what his affection looked like, always built on a foundation of hurting me and making me feel small, then I didn't want it anymore. All that drama over a single congratulatory remark from a boy I barely knew, and he held a grudge for that long? Yet he expected me to tolerate his ambiguous relationship with Clara? He was jealous? He was holding a grudge? This was just the beginning. I turned to them. Let's just wait and see. It was 11 o'clock. The day was almost over. Leo took a long drink of beer, but it did nothing to calm the restlessness coiling in his gut. He kept glancing at the door of the private room, his heart jumping every time it opened. But each time, it closed again, and no one new entered. His phone was just as silent. It had never been like this before. For the past 2 days, every time his phone buzzed, he'd snatch it up, only to feel his mood crash when he saw it wasn't a friend request from Maya. He had been spoiled by her affection and couldn't adjust to this sudden silence. He unlocked his phone again, his thumb hovering over her contact. The screensaver was a photo of them together, one where he had stolen a kiss on her cheek, capturing her surprised and delighted expression. He couldn't help but smile at the memory, his heart softening. Forget it, he thought. For over a year, she had always been the one to make the first move to reconcile. This time, he would be the one to back down. He opened his social app and sent a friend request. Maya, meet me at the usual place before midnight. As soon as the request was sent, he let out a long sigh, an unprecedented feeling of relief washing over him. Maya liked him so much, was always so obedient. She would definitely accept the request immediately and hurry over. She was terrified of breaking up with him. Every time they had fought before, it never lasted more than 3 days before she came to him, eyes red from crying, carefully asking to make up. She cared about him so deeply. He felt a faint sting of guilt in his chest. He knew he had gone too far this time, deliberately using Clara to provoke her. The truth was, there was nothing between him and Clara. They hadn't seen each other in years, and their reunion was just a fleeting novelty for him. Clara just had a little crush on him, and he had to admit the attention from 2 pretty girls was a nice boost to his ego. But these last few days, without any contact from Maya, had made him realize she was the one he truly wanted. A friend clinked glasses with him, and he took an absent-minded sip, his eyes fixed on his phone screen. But the minutes ticked by, and his phone remained silent. A vague sense of unease began to creep in. Unable to wait any longer, he sent another request. Maya, the 7 days are almost up. This one, too, was met with silence. His brows furrowed. He stared at the phone as if it were a stone, the lively atmosphere of the room seeming to fade around him. Just then, the door was thrown open, and a classmate rushed in, panting and grinning. "They're here! They're here! Leo, everyone's downstairs. She looks so beautiful tonight, you have to come see." Leo's brow instantly relaxed. He leaned back in his chair, a lazy smile spreading across his face. "Go tell Maya that it's past midnight. It's too late. I'm very angry. If she wants to get back together, she's going to have to try a lot harder than that." The classmate stared at him, wide-eyed and confused. "What are you talking about? What Maya? What reconciliation? What does she have to do with anything?" "It's Clara. Little sister Clara came all this way to see you." The classmate winked dramatically. "I won't say any more. Just hurry down and see for yourself. It's a huge surprise." The room erupted with excitement. They were all young and restless, eager for any romantic drama. But Leo didn't move. The smile vanished from his eyes. It was impossible to hide his feelings. His disappointment was plain for everyone to see. The boisterous mood in the room quickly died down. "Leo, aren't you going?" the confused classmate asked. Leo let out a short laugh. "What for? Clara is downstairs. What does that have to do with me?" "But she likes you, and you like her too, right? Everyone knows that." "When did I ever say I liked her? If I recall, I've said from the very beginning that I only see her as a sister." "But you two have been so close these past few days." Leo fell silent, looking down and unlocking his phone again. The friend request was still pending. The clock struck midnight. He exited the app and dialed her number. A cold, automated voice informed him that the number he had dialed was unavailable. She had blocked him. His expression darkened. He turned and borrowed a phone from a female classmate and tried again. This time, it rang for a while before someone answered. "Hello? Tang Yu, is that you?" Maya's soft, familiar voice came through the receiver, and for a moment, Leo's heart trembled. He genuinely missed her. Hey, why aren't you saying anything? It's me, he said finally. Maya, it's Leo. There was a sudden silence on the other end, followed by the soft click of the call ending. He tried calling back, but no one answered. He handed the phone back to his classmate without a word, his face a blank mask. He opened another can of beer and downed it in one go. Only then did he look at the classmate still standing by the door. Weren't we going downstairs? Let's go. He forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Let's go. We shouldn't embarrass the girl. She meant well, and I can't just ignore her kindness. Clara's confession was a grand affair. She was a pretty girl with fair skin and a delicate beauty, and she had dressed up meticulously for the occasion. She had set up a romantic display, and when she spoke, her voice was thick with emotion, tears streaming down her face. It was a touching scene that drew a large crowd of onlookers, many of whom filmed it and posted it online. Naturally, I saw the videos. The clip with the most views was the one where Leo accepted the flowers she offered him. In her joy, Clara threw her arms around him and stood on her tiptoes to kiss his cheek. I turned off the video, my face expressionless. Even though my resolve to break up with him was firm and I was determined to move on, the human heart is still made of flesh. I had genuinely loved him with my whole heart for a year. How could I not feel a sliver of sadness? Seeing her throw herself into his arms and kiss him sent a sharp, suffocating pain through my chest. I realized it would probably take me a little more time to fully heal. My best friend silently handed me another beer. Drink as much as you want tonight. My cousin will come get us later. We drank a lot and sang at the top of our lungs. By the time her cousin arrived, neither of us could stand up straight. I felt a bit embarrassed looking at him. He was so gentle and put together. And my first muddled thought was that I absolutely could not get sick, not when his white shirt was so perfectly clean. Maya, can you walk? He asked, politely taking my arm to steady me. I looked at him, my vision blurry. Do you know me? Then my sluggish brain put the pieces together. What a stupid question, I mumbled. Of course my best friend would have told him my name. We met at the math competition, he said gently. Maya, I'm Ethan. I just stared at him. The colorful lights of the karaoke room flashed around us and a sad love song played in the background. Not far away, a group of people laughed and cheered. It was a normal, bustling night, but Ethan stood there in his spotless white shirt, as if he were completely separate from it all. He was so clean, so pristine, that it made me feel conscious of my own disheveled state. When he got out of the shower, there was a new friend request on his phone. I looked at the name, Ethan, and after hesitating for a long time, I finally clicked accept. A message came through almost immediately. Get some rest. Good night. I typed back, good night, and surprisingly, I fell asleep almost instantly. The next morning, I went downstairs to take out the trash and saw him. Leo was standing under the tree in front of my house, just like he had so many times before when he came to pick me up. For a split second, with the sun so bright, I felt a dizzying sense of déjà vu, as if we were back in the time before everything fell apart, but the feeling passed as quickly as it came. Reality crashed back in. He had accepted Clara's confession last night. They were together now. After dropping the trash, I walked to the nearby post office to pick up a package. When I got back, he was still there, standing under the tree, watching me as I walked towards him. Maya, he said, stepping forward to stop me. We need to talk. There's something I have to tell you. I ignored him and tried to walk past, but he reached out and grabbed my arm, swiftly taking the package from my hands. This is heavy. Let me carry it up for you. Before I could even protest, he was already jogging up the stairs to my apartment. After my parents divorced, my mother had remarried and moved away, and my father had taken my younger brother and left to find work elsewhere, not wanting to stay in a house full of sad memories. The old family home was now just mine. When we were dating, Leo was over all the time. We'd eat meals together, study together. Looking back, the beginning of our relationship had been so innocent. He came back downstairs a moment later, sweating from the short run in the heat. I thanked him and turned to go inside. Maya, wait, he said, stopping me again. Aren't you going to at least buy me a cold drink? I didn't want any more involvement with him, so I just turned away. Maya, he said, his voice laced with a familiar mockery. Even if we're breaking up, we should at least do it properly. Otherwise, being vague like this will just cause more misunderstandings, don't you think? He was right. His words were a sharp reminder. Since we were really done, it was better to have a clean break. We were going to different universities soon, and I was ready to start a new life. I turned back and pointed to the ice cream shop across the street. Fine, let's go there. Leo turned first, and we walked across the street, one after the other. The sun was scorching, and the street was nearly empty. I didn't notice the boy on the mountain bike at the corner, his white shirt billowing in the hot wind like a sail. He was probably just passing by. I need to explain what happened with me and Clara last night, Leo began as soon as we sat down. I had no idea she was going to confess to me. It was a huge scene, and a lot of people were watching. I've always seen her as a little sister, and I didn't want to humiliate her in front of everyone. That's why I didn't refuse her right then and there. He kept glancing at me, trying to gauge my reaction as he spoke. Afterwards, I made it very clear to her how I felt. I just smiled, a question forming in my mind that I didn't bother to ask. So, to avoid embarrassing her, you could accept her flowers, her hug, her kiss? In the future, would you also do more intimate things with her, maybe even sleep with her, just to avoid embarrassing her? But I was so tired of questioning him, so tired of the whole cycle. None of this has anything to do with me anymore, Leo, I said quietly. I only came here with you to make things clear. A 7-day Cold War means an automatic breakup. That was your rule from the beginning. So please keep your promise. We're broken up. Whatever you do and whoever you're with now is your business. You don't need to explain anything to me. I looked at him one last time, and a flood of memories washed over me. The blue and white school uniform he draped over my head on rainy days, the faint, pleasant smell of ink when he wrote next to me, the earthy scent after a summer rain, the light, hesitant first kiss we shared. I remembered him walking towards me against a tide of people, a playful smile on his face as he said, Maya, we'll be together forever. We'll go to the same university, live in the same city, get married, have kids, and never be apart. It all felt like it happened yesterday, and yet it also felt like a lifetime ago. My eyes started to sting, but I knew with absolute certainty that I had truly let him go. Are you really sure you want to be like this with me? He asked, his voice tight. 7 days of silence means a breakup. Yes, I said that. But the 7 days passed, Maya, and I was the one who reached out to you. What more do you want? Everything that needed to be said was said. I didn't want to drag it out any longer. I stood up and turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm again, his brow furrowed, but his eyes bright with a desperate sort of hope. The acceptance letters will be here soon, and we're still going to the same university. Maya, have you forgotten what you promised me? I hadn't forgotten. Not long ago, I was looking forward to it so much, imagining our life in college, renting a small apartment near campus, being together every day. But the promises of youth are fragile. Stop it, Leo. I'm going abroad with my parents to visit family tomorrow. Don't make me worry about you while I'm gone. Wait for me to come back, Maya. We'll go to school registration together. Before I could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and scowled, declining the call. It immediately rang again and then a third time. He finally answered with a sigh. Clara, what's wrong now? All right, don't worry. I'll be right there. I'll explain it to your parents. Stop crying. It's not that serious. I'll clarify everything with them. I'll be there in 15 minutes, Max. Just wait. He hung up and quickly turned to me, an apologetic look on his face. Clara's parents are furious with her. They almost hit her. It's because of that time we argued and your friend called her a homewrecker. The rumor got back to them. Anyway, this whole thing started because of me, so I have to go explain. Maya, wait for me to come back. Don't forget we have a date to go to registration together. And with that, he hurried off. I watched him go through the shop window, my heart as still and calm as a lake on a windless day. Leo went abroad. Before he left, he tried calling me a few times from other people's phones, but I never answered. Shortly after he left, Clara followed him. Their families were well matched and had always been close, so I imagined her parents were probably thrilled at the prospect of them getting together. I guess I only had myself to blame. I was young and naive, so focused on my feelings that I completely ignored the vast difference in our family backgrounds. Even if Leo hadn't been unfaithful, his parents would have never accepted me. Looking back, breaking up when we did was probably for the best. After my acceptance letter arrived, I started working a part time job for the summer. My dad still refused to come home. He just sent a brief, encouraging text and transferred me a few thousand win. He said life was tough, and now that I was going to college, I needed to be independent. He wouldn't be sending me any more living expenses. I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. After my mom remarried, she had another son, and from what I saw on my aunt's social media, they doted on him. My little half-brother wore brand-name shoes that cost hundreds of yuan a pair. The first pair of brand-name sneakers I ever owned was a birthday gift from Leo. Still, I needed the money for tuition, so I accepted it and sent my dad a sincere thank you message. He never replied. I logged out of the app, took a deep breath, and got back to work. I got a job at a large fried chicken restaurant, and on my second day, I saw Ethan. He told me it was his favorite place and that he ate there every day. And he wasn't kidding. From that day on, he was there every single day I worked. He always sat by himself in a quiet corner, ordering a large amount of food but barely eating any of it. In the end, I was usually the one who got to take home the leftovers. One of my coworkers teased me about it. Does that guy have a crush on you? He comes every single day. It has to be for you. He's so handsome, and he always looks so clean. I just laughed as I filled a cup with Coke. No, he's my best friend's cousin. Besides, he just really loves the fried chicken here. The manager, who was walking by, overheard us. Who said that? I never saw him in here once before you started working. I froze for a second, my eyes instinctively darting over to the corner where Ethan was sitting, head down, quietly working on problems on his tablet. I pursed my lips and quickly looked away, giving myself a silent warning. Maya, you only need to make some mistakes once. My best friend's family was well off, but she had told me her aunt and uncle's family, Ethan's family, was even wealthier. They had settled in Beijing long ago. He was just back for the summer to visit his grandparents and would soon return to a world that was miles away from mine. I started to deliberately avoid him, and someone as perceptive as him noticed right away. That night, I received only the second message I'd ever gotten from him. Maya, do you really dislike me that much? I stared at the words for a long, long time, a tight, uncomfortable feeling building in my chest. How could anyone dislike someone like him? It was just that some things were better off not starting at all. No, I typed back. You're great. It's just that I feel like you've caused me some trouble at work and I'm planning on quitting tomorrow. The typing. Indicator appeared in the chat for a long time, but in the end, all he sent was a single sentence. You don't have to quit, Maya. I'm very sorry. I won't bother you again. I lay on my bed and buried my face in my pillow for a long time before finally typing back 2 words. Thank you. For the rest of the summer, I never saw Ethan again. Sometimes during my breaks, I'd catch myself glancing over at the corner where he used to sit, but it was always empty or occupied by strangers. Clara posted frequently on social media, and Leo would occasionally appear in her photos. Sometimes I'd run into his friends, and at first they'd tell me that Leo had been asking about me, but I paid them no attention, and eventually they stopped bringing him up. Just before I was set to leave for college, Leo returned from his trip. The first thing he did was come find me carrying several shopping bags from expensive brands. Maya, these are all for you, he said, his voice unusually cautious. I bought them for you while I was abroad. Every time I saw a beautiful piece of jewelry or a nice dress, I thought of you and I just had to get it. He held the gifts out to me, his expression a mixture of joy and nervousness. And by the way, don't listen to any of that nonsense. There's nothing going on between me and Clara. My parents just like her, so they let her stay at our place for a few days. Maya, you're not still angry, are you? For a moment, I was taken aback. After more than a year together, I had almost forgotten that Leo could be this cautious and gentle. He had pursued me so passionately at first, but as time went on, he had become more and more distant, always holding all the power. But if he no longer had a place in my heart, if I didn't love him anymore, what power did he have over me? I'll pick you up tomorrow and we can go to school registration together, he continued, talking more to himself than to me. Claire is starting her senior year, so it'll be intense. She won't have time to bother us anymore. I just smiled and watched him, waiting for him to finish. You're smiling, he said, his face breaking into that familiar, smugly triumphant grin. You're not angry anymore, are you? He took a step forward to hug me, but I took a step back, avoiding his embrace. Sorry, Leo. You'll have to go to registration by yourself. His smile vanished, replaced by a frown of displeasure. Are you still mad at me? I've already backed down twice, Maya. I looked at him calmly, thinking he looked like nothing more than a clown. No, I said slowly. I stopped being angry a long time ago. It's just that my school is in Beijing, not here in the same city as yours. Leo was stunned. I think it was the first time I had ever seen that expression on his face. Utter shock, followed by waves of panic and disbelief, which finally settled into a pale-faced incomprehension. You're lying to me, right? If you're worried about Clara, I'll call her right now and make it clear. I'll tell her to never bother me again. He pulled out his phone, his hand trembling slightly, but I stopped him. There's no need. It's not necessary. Leo, everything about you has nothing to do with me anymore. The night was dark, but the stars were bright and the sky felt vast and clear, just like the future I saw for myself. I gave him a sincere smile. Let's not see each other again. Maya, his voice, carried on the evening breeze, sounded hollow and trembling. I didn't stop walking, and I didn't look back. Leo had truly become just a stranger to me. On the day of registration, Leo still showed up at my new university. I treated him like he was invisible, not even giving him a glance. And for a man as proud as he didn't try to cause a scene, but he was always there, lurking somewhere nearby, never too close, but never too far. To my surprise, I also saw Ethan. It turned out we were at the same university. When he saw me from a distance, he stopped walking for a moment and then continued on his way. We passed each other like two strangers who had never met. Leo stayed on campus for a week before finally leaving. Only after I was sure he was gone did I finally feel like I could breathe properly. My new life began, a busy routine of classes and part-time work. I would occasionally see Ethan around campus. He had caused quite a stir from his first day, and a lot of girls liked him. I learned a lot about him from my roommates' late-night chats. He was an excellent student from a wealthy family, was always polite and kind, but carried an air of detachment. He had turned down many girls, and he quickly became known as the school's most unattainable prize. I never joined in on their conversations or mentioned that I knew him, that we had shared a few brief, inconsequential moments. I suppose some people are just like that. They enter your life, dazzle you for a moment, and leave a mark, but that's all it's ever meant to be. Autumn arrived, and with it, my birthday. On my way back from dinner with my roommates, I saw Leo waiting outside the dormitory. What surprised me even more was that Clara was with him. When she saw me, her eyes, red and puffy, glared at me for a second before she quickly looked down, sniffling. Leo looked like he had lost weight. He seemed tired and worn down. He was holding a large bouquet of my favorite flowers and a cake. My roommates all tactfully made their excuses and went upstairs. He walked up to me and I looked at his still handsome but now unfamiliar face, feeling not a single ripple of emotion. I truly didn't like him anymore. Maya, today's your birthday, he began, his voice soft. I don't mean anything by this. I just wanted to celebrate with you. He held the flowers out to me, his eyes filled with a hopeful anticipation. The look on his face was a startling reflection of my own past self, of all the times I had looked at him with that same desperate hope, waiting for him to condescend to forgive me. I couldn't help but laugh. His face brightened instantly. Maya. Go away, Leo, I said, my voice flat. My roommates already celebrated with me. Don't come here anymore. Even if you come 100 times, it won't change anything. I don't like you anymore. No, that's impossible, he said, his composure cracking. We were each other's first love. Maya, you told me you liked me so much, more than anyone. He seemed to be losing control. I know this is all because of Clara. She sent you those messages behind my back, posted those misleading things on social media. I brought her here tonight to tell you herself that none of it was my idea. Oh, I've never liked her. It was all her. He grabbed Clara's arm and pulled her forward. Tell her. Tell Maya the truth. Didn't I tell you from the start that I had a girlfriend and that I didn't like you? Maya, sister. Clara was clearly terrified of him. It was me. I deliberately made you misunderstand. Leo told me from the beginning that he had a girlfriend. It was me who couldn't accept it, who used our childhood friendship to keep him close. I chose the angles for those social media pictures on purpose. Leo didn't know anything about it. But you enjoyed it, didn't you, Leo? I cut in. Two girls fighting over you. If I hadn't broken up with you, you and Clara would still be playing that ambiguous game. You might not have actually liked her, but you definitely enjoyed the fact that she liked you, that she clung to you. Maya, you've misunderstood everything. It's only ever been you. But I stopped liking you a long time ago. During that last fight, when we were giving each other the silent treatment, any feeling I had for you completely died. I don't believe you. Maya, you said you were stubborn, that you'd love someone for a lifetime. He dropped the bouquet but refused to let go of my sleeve. Let go of me! Stop it, Leo! I won't let go. You can't do this to me, Maya. You can't just throw me away over something so small. It's not fair. I struggled, but he held on tighter. Just as I was about to panic, someone stepped in and pushed Leo away. She told you to let go. Didn't you hear her? Clutching my wrist, which was already starting to ache, I looked up. It was Ethan. Don't be afraid, he said, glancing back at me before positioning himself between me and Leo. Leo's gaze fell on Ethan's face, and a few seconds later, a mocking laugh escaped him. As I thought. It's you again. I knew it. Maya, you liar, you fraud. You were so determined to break up with me because of him, weren't you? You've been seeing him since the math competition, haven't you? And you had the nerve to pretend you were the victim. How shameless can you be? Before he could finish, a fist connected squarely with his face. In the hazy glow of the streetlights, Ethan's expression was as cold as ice. Say one more word like that and see what happens. Leo was never one to back down from a fight. He swung back, and the two of them started trading blows. Ethan looked lean, but he was surprisingly strong, and after a few moments, it was clear Leo was losing. But Ethan didn't escape unharmed. I saw a cut open on his face. I was so scared I just froze, and it wasn't until campus security guards rushed over that I snapped out of it. They pulled Ethan away, and Leo wiped the blood from his mouth, his eyes wide with fury as he glared at Ethan. Hit a nerve, did I? I knew it all along. You've been after her since the competition, haven't you, Ethan? Lusting after someone else's girlfriend. You act all high and mighty, but you're just as disgusting as she is. You two liars deserve each other. I slowly walked forward and raised my hand. A sharp, crisp slap echoed in the night air. Leo, I said, tears finally starting to fall, I deeply regret ever having feelings for a piece of scum like you. The fight that night was ultimately smoothed over and didn't escalate. The rumor was that Leo chose not to press charges, but since Ethan had thrown the first punch, he still received a minor disciplinary action from the school. I thought about it for a long time before finally sending him a message on WeChat to thank him. It took a while for him to reply. Then buy me a cup of coffee. I arranged to meet him at a bookstore cafe near the campus. It was an overcast day, and the autumn wind had a sharp bite to it. Ethan was already there when I arrived, standing under a tree by the road looking towards the school gate. He was wearing a thin, khaki trench coat, and he stood there with a quiet patience, as if he could wait forever. I saw the fresh scab on his face and the dark bruise near his eyebrow. A sudden, sharp pang of sorrow went through my heart. A person like Ethan had probably never had a hand laid on him in his entire life. Maya, he said, walking towards me through the swirling leaves. Does your wound still hurt? I asked quietly. It's just a small injury. I glanced at the bruise again and then looked down at my feet. Let's go. It's across the street. I turned first and started walking, with him following quietly behind me. For a second, I felt that same strange sense of deja vu from the summer, when Leo had asked me to buy him a drink. But the feeling in my heart now was completely different. He had already ordered the coffee, and we sat in a quiet booth by the window. We finished our drinks in total silence. The air felt thick with unspoken words, so much so that I didn't have the courage to meet his eyes. Fragments of memory flashed through my mind. The math competition, when he had appeared out of nowhere to help me, the night he picked me and my best friend up, drunk and messy, and that one breathtaking glance we shared. The way he sat in the corner of the fried chicken shop every single day, waiting until my shift was over. The last message he sent me, "I'm sorry, I won't disturb you anymore." And the image of him standing in front of me outside the dorm, his tall figure shielding me from Leo. All these moments overlapped, and I realized with a start that I remembered everything about him, every single detail. It felt like all my courage had been used up when I was 17. I remembered Leo's parents, the way their eyes had scanned me from head to toe, the disdain they tried so hard to hide. Then Clara appeared. I looked down at my own hands, at the thin calluses on my palms from working, at the pilled fabric of my sweater cuffs, at the cheap sneakers on my feet. I thought about Ethan's parents and how they would surely frown at me too, worried their perfect son would get involved with a girl like me. Some lessons you only need to learn once. I finally managed a faint smile and looked up, pretending to be casual. "It's getting late. We should go." I could sense that he wanted to say something, but I cut him off. "Sorry, I have to get to my part-time job and I can't be late." Ethan just sat there, his deep eyes looking at me with an intensity that seemed to swallow endless disappointment. I couldn't bear to look at him any longer. He stood up. "Let's go. I'll walk you back." "No need. I'm taking the bus." "Then I'll walk you to the bus stop." "Ethan, really," I said, finally mustering the courage to look him in the eye. "There's no need. I'm used to being on my own." He stared at me for a long moment before finally nodding. "All right." I thanked him again and walked out of the bookstore without looking back. The wind was cold and I tightened my coat, burying my face in my scarf. I thought a tear might have fallen, but maybe it was just my imagination. Our school sometimes felt incredibly small, so small that I would run into Ethan almost every day. But after that day at the cafe, it suddenly felt enormous, so large that I never saw him again. The girls in my dorm rarely mentioned him anymore, but I thought of him often. The truth was, after I left the bookstore that day, I had hidden behind a large billboard and watched him. He sat alone by the window for a very, very long time, just staring at the beautifully wrapped gift box on the table in front of him. Autumn passed, and I returned from a competition with my debate team to find that Beijing was having its first snow of the season. As I was getting off the bus, my phone rang. It was my best friend. "Maya, my cousin was in a car accident. My aunt and uncle are on vacation abroad, and they can't get back until tomorrow. Can you please go to the hospital and check on him for me?" She was on the verge of tears, and as I stood there in the swirling snow, the world around me seemed to go silent, replaced by a loud buzzing in my ears. When I finally rushed to the hospital and found Ethan's room, the sky had gone completely dark. His head was wrapped in bandages, and his left arm was in a cast. An IV drip sent fluid into his vein, drop by drop. He was asleep, and his face was so pale from blood loss that he almost blended in with the white sheets. I stood in the doorway, just looking at him, and my eyes filled with tears. In the middle of the night, he developed a high fever. The doctor came to give him a shot, but his temperature wouldn't go down, and he started talking in his sleep. I was using a wet cotton swab to moisten his chapped lips when he suddenly said my name. "Maya." I froze, my hand hovering in midair. His eyes fluttered open for a second, then closed again as he drifted back into a restless sleep. "Maya," he murmured again, his voice thick with delirium. Can you not hate me so much?" The tears I had been holding back for so long finally broke free. My heart felt like a tangled mess of sadness and an uncontrollable aching pain that swallowed every last bit of my reason. "Ethan," I whispered, my voice choked with tears. "I never disliked you. I never, ever hated you." He shook his head slightly, still lost in his fever dream. Don't lie to me. She doesn't want to see me. Won't even look at me. I couldn't hold back any longer. I leaned down, and my lips, still wet and salty from my own tears, gently touched his. He suddenly fell silent. A tear trembled on my eyelash and fell, mingling with the one that had welled up at the corner of his eye. It was me, Ethan. It's me, Maya. I kissed him again, a light, trembling press of my lips to his, and managed a weak smile through my tears. Does it still hurt? Are you uncomfortable? He didn't answer for a long time, just stared at me without blinking, as if he was desperately trying to convince himself that this was real and not a dream. Finally, he spoke, his voice weak. It's snowing. Are you cold, Maya? Were you cold on your way here? Outside the window, the snow fell in a silent white curtain. I shook my head as more tears fell, and I gently pressed my face against his uninjured arm. In that moment, I let all my defenses crumble and allowed myself to fall completely for him.